Hi, this is a Monday evening, August 4th update on the search results for bail bonds on the US Google search engine. As always, the thoughts in this video are just mine, and in making decisions, consult an SEO professional or your trusted SEO team for the best information for your situation. For those of you who don't know what MarketBrew is, I'm using this MarketBrew search engine modeling technology. It allows us to essentially start with a generic search engine model and replace all the weightings and algorithms on it by using a process called particle swarm optimization. There's a little bit more information if you visit their site. This goes a little bit more depth about what's going on, but essentially what we're doing is we're building these search engine models to identify why certain things are ranking the way they are. And we're going to be talking about bail bonds here tonight. Something really interesting happened on this model, and I thought I'd share it with you. So essentially what happened is we have three sites in this model. Actually, two of the sites are ranking the top 100. The last site here is not. And these two sites actually just flipped. So what we saw here over the course of about two to 3 weeks is a huge tightening of these query scores. So you're going to see the current model rankings where the delta between the number one position and AladdinBailBonds.com here, which is not even the top 100, is only 5%. This is extremely tight. So this consolidated dramatically here in the last 2 weeks. On the right-hand side, you're going to see what it was before. So you can see there was a huge drop between Money Crashers and SturdySolutions.com. So I wanted to get a little bit more in detail about why this happened. The models here at MarketBrew looks like they're pretty clear on what they can see, and a lot of it is pretty straightforward. So I just want to go over that with you. You're going to see on this report here, I'm going to skip over this, but this just talks about some of the boost factors, what MarketBrew calls the bias and weight settings on its neural net, essentially, that allows us to identify as the target search engine environment. In this case right here, this is Google US. As it changes its weightings and biases, it enhances or minimalizes certain algorithms, certain families of algorithms. MarketBrew is tracking that. Essentially, it's machine learning that process, and it can update its bias and weight settings, what they call boost factors. So that's what this is right here. We'll skip over that for right now, but I wanted to get right into exactly what was actually happening. So let's look at, and it's great, we can talk about the number one site here and how it's doing, but I really want to talk about from the perspective of the site that just got passed in the number one ranking. So these guys lost the most revenue and traffic from this ordeal. And, well, they will here, I guess, in the next 30 or 45 days. The market's typically about 30 to 45 days on Google. We're seeing the rank trackers trail this model. So the moneycrushers.com essentially is going to pay the price for a number of things here. Primarily, actually, let me show you this really quickly here. So let me go over to the search results here for bail bonds in the model. So here's the model right here, and let me pull up this this report here. Okay, so essentially, you got your two number two sites here, and then the outlier out here. But what I want to point out here is between these two sites, what's separating them right now, and you can see this is extremely tight. 100% is always in the number one position if you don't know anything about this. MarketBrew uses a query parser called the Lucene query parser, and we'll visit that here in a second, but the number one position is always at 100%. You'll see the second position here is extremely close. This doesn't indicate what it is, which families of algorithms are responsible for this gap, however small it might be. But what it does tell us here is that whatever that gap is, statistically is very small. So when we're looking at these things, it's not a big difference between the two, but Market Brew is going to do its best job with the model to identify what areas of the market or what areas of the search engine model is actually responsible for this gap between the two sites. So if you scroll over to the right hand side here, you're going to see let me back out here. So you got a bunch of different scores here, starting right around here and off to the right. And you can see that the number one position that just passed up the site here is doing extremely well in a number of areas, right? So you can see it's clearly the market focus basket score. I'll talk about what this is here in a second. You can see that they're sort of bashing them over the head with this. And so this is primarily, I would say, one of the primary responsible algorithms or families of algorithms, probably on the semantic side. And I think the system has flagged this as well. You'll see this in the AI generated report. But this essentially is the biggest gap right here. You're going to see a couple other gaps here as well. Oops, I didn't do really well with that drawing here. Meta title score, and this is very small, so this is not going to be a huge difference. You're not going to see a big difference statistically between this when we show that. And then also there's a very, very small difference, and these numbers are absolute. So 30, these are even smaller than the meta title, and all these other things are legacy. You can see this meta description doesn't mean anything anymore in Google, but you can see the Market Brew system is basically indicating that the biggest area right here is just simply the market focus basket score. So when we switch over to the conversation and we look at the sort of the what to do, details on the biggest weaknesses down here, but you can kind of see the overall focus should be on the semantic, and the system is rightly indicated to money crashers that their focus really should now be on the semantic families of algorithms, and specifically within the semantic algorithms, the market focus basket algorithm in the Market Brew system. And so we'll take a look a little bit about that. You can see there's a 9% focus on meta title, so you can see the huge difference. This is really the thing that the system's flagged. The other site has done really well, and it'll be really interesting to see exactly why that is. We can compare the two market focus algorithms between the two sites, and we'll figure that out. So down here, you're going to kind of see it starting to focus us on specific areas. In this case right here, it's identified that this market focus algorithm is the biggest statistical difference between moneycrashers.com and the number one site. And notice the system has flagged the outperformer as Aladdin bail bonds. And one of the reasons why I like this model is we revisit this, but if we go back to the results here, you'll see that Aladdin bail bonds, they're not very far off. So this is actually this gap has closed dramatically between Aladdin and the number one position, whoever it was in the past. And so one of the things I wanted to point out was they're doing really well with the market focus basket. They're actually outscoring all of these sites in this area. So it's kind of nice to be able to use one of these other sites here as a sort of a flagpole to judge what we should really be going after. Because we could simply imitate the number one site, and they are doing almost exactly the same as Aladdin here, just a little off of Aladdin. But you can see that, trying to mimic the number one site, you couldn't go wrong there. So this is just, a really kind of So this is just academic at this point, but it's nice to have sort of an outperformer to see what's going on. So when we're looking at trying to beat the number one position, we're gonna actually look at Aladdin bail bonds instead of the number one position, because Aladdin bail bonds does a little bit better with its market focus. And why did they do that? We can actually go in here and kind of look at their market focus here in a sec. For the uninitiated, the market focus algorithm in Market Brew, what they're doing basically is they're taking a sort of a keyword density approach using 3 and 4 word shingles or groupings of words, and they're combining the all the signal data that they have for associated link flow. And what this is essentially every time one of these words appears in an anchor text going to this page, it looks at the net link flow share. So what is net link flow share? Well, if we click on these words here, you're going to see each one of these key link listings has, or each one of these links here has a net link flow share. And this net link flow share essentially is giving us the relative importance of this link versus all these other links down here in this link listing. The top ones are always listed at the top here in the system. And because of this, this is attributing these values to any time these links have these specific words. And so when we attribute these values to these words, we come up with this associated link flow table here of words and their associated link flow. And this is sort of a dot multiplier of these phrases, and this anchor text gives us this basket of phrases that the search engine thinks this content is about. And it's used, obviously, the content creators direction by analyzing the content from a keyword density type of a report, but it also is using its peers or its citation structure around it to identify a little bit more of a cleaner market focus or a cleaner sort of semantic structure or meaning for this page. So this is one of these algorithms in the Market Brew system that has been identified as a major player between this move that just happened between these two sites. And so if you're moneycrashers.com, the first thing you really need to do without even asking any questions is you need to be looking at this algorithm and just copying either the outperformer or, obviously you can copy the number one position here. They're doing just fine. So you can look at their market focus and copy them. But whatever you're doing, you have to make sure that you're closing that statistical gap. And that's the easiest way to do it. Why is Money Crashers not doing so well here? Well, if we pull this up here, you're going to see that Money Crashers, their anchor text has very little link flow coming through it. In fact, it's actually rounded out to 0 here. So these links that are coming in, the word, for instance, the word bond here, they're essentially coming in to this page, giving it the wrong focus, right? So if you look at the basket right here, the number one market focus for it is terms, agreement, bond, right? This is really nonsensical why this word terms is in this grouping of, or 3-word shingle, except for the fact that it's actually getting incoming associated link flow off the word terms. And obviously we can see this here. The anchor text is actually terms of the bond. And so what that's doing is it's actually highlighting any phrases that have groupings with these words. And of course, once you shape the market focus basket like that, you're not going to score very well for a bail bonds keyword query against it. So essentially what's happening here is they have some work to do with this market focus. The other thing that we see that's separating these two sites and possibly a thing that could have kind of just put the Money Crashers, the Surdy Solutions over moneycrashers.com is the meta title. And again, if for the uninitiated in Market Brew, uses this Lucene query parser. It's a fairly standard, successful query parser that tries to mimic essentially a lot of the scoring algorithms of modern search engines. This is obviously four parts of this scoring algorithm that are listed here, and it actually is telling us that it's the length norm portion, which is pretty obvious right here. So length norm essentially is how many words out of what's the percentage match of all the words. So you have Aladdin, bail bonds, and bail bond, and maybe I think the word what, I think that might be a stop word, but essentially you're getting a lot more of a higher percentage of bail bonds versus this one where you get all these other words here, types, conditions, how to recoup money. It's a lower percentage match. And so that's that part of the scoring algorithm is this length norm part of the equation, and that's essentially what it's doing. So theoretically, it's this cute little meta title that it's creating. It's saying, just say bail bonds, you'll have 100% match. But you can kind of see what the limit is right here. So this is the limit, the theoretical, what you would score the highest with. And obviously, this is not something that typically a lot of the brands will put their brand name on here or something like that. But anyways, so this is basically the other part of the model that the system has indicated that is separating the two sites. Wanted to give you an insight into the bail bonds search engine result page, specifically the Surdy Solutions move that they just made, and it's pretty clear now to everybody in the industry for that specific keyword that the emphasis now, at least in the short term here with Google US, is with this market focus algorithm. The system did a very clear indicator of this being one of the biggest statistical anomalies between any of these sites. And so it's very clear that the sites that were doing really well with market focus are now being bumped up in the site and favored in these search results for bail bonds on the Google US platform. And also just the delta between all of the sites in the model here really converged and collapsed. And it's really going to be fascinating to see exactly why that's happened all the way down into the belly of this model. And we'll certainly study this. So whatever happened inside the model, and we'll probably go through and do another video on this, but the changes to the model are going to be very interesting to study to see if we can get any other direction off of any other keywords that are off of this parent keyword. So a lot of times what you'll see with Google's RankBrain and Neural Net as it's training off of these parent keywords, the children keywords are often adjusted very similarly, and that's just because they're training on the same set of labels that their quality rater guidelines are labeling the data with. So anyways, that's it for tonight. Hopefully you got something out of this, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, and click subscribe for a lot more of these. There's more to come. All right, good night.